Fantasy has always been a go-to for Hollywood, and with good reason. Creating interesting worlds and fantastical characters has a ton of appeal, thanks in no small part to the heightened level of escapism it provides audiences. To make it onto this list, there has to be some sort of magical element added to the story, or an entirely new world created just for the film. It can't just be an alternate version of our reality. Number 6. Pan's Labyrinth. Guillermo del Toro's inspired 2006 film is one that sometimes flies under the radar, but one watch of the dark fantasy film and you'll know why it's a cult classic. Set in 1944 Nazi-occupied Spain, the main story centers on Ofelia, a young girl whose own adventure into the fantastical elements of a labyrinth eventually shed light on the devastating effects of war and evil men. Just in Kirkland. Number 5. The Chronicles of Narnia. The film series, based on the novels by C.S. Lewis, follows the adventures of 4 siblings who are sent to a hideaway home during World War II and discover a magical wardrobe in it that leads to the land of Narnia. It's a mystical land where they befriend creatures and talking animals and join in on the battle to free Narnia from an evil witch's rule. LK. Number 4. Harry Potter. Though J.K. Rowling has firmly destroyed her own legacy, legions of fans will not let her present-day bigotry ruin the magic of the Harry Potter series. After the books captured a generation, this film series managed to visualize the vast wizarding world. The magic is there on the screen just as millions of fans imagined it. The casting is spot on, and the films grow in complexity and scope as the characters and the source material does. Number 3. Jumanji. Nothing says childhood adventure like a trip inside a board game with Robin Williams as your guide. When a pair of siblings inadvertently open a Pandora's box by beginning to play a supernatural board game, they struggle to finish the game in order to reverse the curse it has wrought upon its previous player, who just happens to be trapped inside. Bonus, if you like the original, there's a revamp starring The Rock and Jack Black which is mighty enjoyable, too. Number 2. Edward Scissorhands. When most directors create a film inspired by their childhood, one might expect a typical coming-of-age with, a human protagonist. But, that changes when said director is Tim Burton. And the result, much like the rest of the Tim Burton canon, is unsettling on its surface and moving at its core. Johnny Depp stars as artificial humanoid Edward Scissorhands who, as you might have guessed, has scissors for hands. When Edward's physical roadblock to human intimacy is exacerbated by falling in love with the daughter of his caretakers, his development unravels in oddly beautiful ways. Number 1. The Lord of the Rings. This internationally beloved wuxia film, a genre of Chinese storytelling that weaves fantastical tales of martial artists in ancient China, has become a timeless classic in the fantasy canon both for its plot and its spectacular combat scenes. Set in 19th century China, a master swordsman decides to give up his life of combat to be with his lover, and bequeaths his green destiny sword to a close friend. However, when the delivery is intercepted by a disguised thief, destiny unravels into many fatal trajectories and gravity-defying duels.